It was a cold winter night, and the little boy was shivering in his bed. He had been sick all day, and his parents had told him to stay in bed and get some rest. But it was hard to sleep when he was so cold. The little boy's grandmother came into the room and sat down on the edge of his bed. She reached into her bag and pulled out a beautiful quilt. "This is for you," she said. "It's a quilt of love." The little boy looked at the quilt in wonder. It was made of all different colors and patterns, and it was so soft and warm. "Thank you, Grandma," he said. "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." The grandmother smiled. "I'm glad you like it," she said. "But it's not just a beautiful quilt. It's also a quilt of love. Each of the pieces in this quilt is a piece of my love for you. So when you wrap yourself up in this quilt, you'll be wrapped in my love." The little boy hugged his grandmother tightly. "Thank you, Grandma," he said again. "I love you." The grandmother hugged him back. "I love you too," she said. "Now go to sleep, and let the quilt of love keep you warm." The little boy closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep. He was still a little bit cold, but he felt much better knowing that he was wrapped in his grandmother's love. The next morning, the little boy woke up feeling much better. He got out of bed and went to the window. The sun was shining, and the birds were singing. It was a beautiful day. The little boy looked down at the quilt that was still wrapped around him. He smiled. He knew that he would always be warm, no matter how cold it was outside, because he was wrapped in his grandmother's love. The little boy went downstairs and found his grandmother in the kitchen. She was making breakfast. "Good morning," she said. "How are you feeling today?" "I'm feeling much better," the little boy said. "Thank you for the quilt. It was so warm." The grandmother smiled. "I'm glad you like it," she said. "Now, let's get some breakfast." The little boy and his grandmother sat down at the table and ate breakfast. The little boy told his grandmother about all the things he had done the day before. The grandmother listened patiently, and she smiled at all the right times. After breakfast, the little boy went outside to play. He played with his friends, and he even went sledding. He had so much fun that he forgot all about being sick. When the little boy came home, he was tired but happy. He went to his room and got ready for bed. He wrapped himself up in the quilt, and he fell asleep as soon as his head hit the pillow. The little boy slept soundly that night. He dreamed about all the fun he had had with his friends, and he dreamed about the quilt of love that his grandmother had given him. When the little boy woke up the next morning, he felt happy and loved. He knew that he would always be warm, no matter how cold it was outside, because he was wrapped in his grandmother's love.